everyone, welcome to another video of Introduction to MATLAB. Today we are going to learn about switch cases in MATLAB and how they actually work. So here for an example, I have simply created a function called switching and we are passing two input arguments here, number 1 and number 2. Now I want to perform certain operations on number 1 and number 2. So the operations can be like I want to add these two numbers, I want to subtract these two numbers, I want to multiply, I want to divide to these two numbers. So the operation that I want to perform on these two numbers. So there are two ways to do that. I can simply write, I can also pass an argument asking for the operation that the user want to do while they are calling this function. Let's name it oper. Oper is like third input argument, which we are going to pass at the time of calling this function, mentioning that we what we want to do with number 1 and number 2. Now there are multiple cases. I can simply write if oper is add, then result will be number 1 plus number 2. Else if oper is multiply, then I want to multiply this number 2 and store it in result variable. But we are not going to do that here. We are going to introduce switch cases and see how we can do the exact same thing without using the if else cases. So let's try to write some switch cases statements. Start by writing a switch. So that means it is a MATLAB keyword where we are just telling MATLAB that we are beginning into the switch statements. I will write here oper. That means it is going to check the value of oper, and based on the value of oper, it is going to perform that operation on number 1 and number 2. So let's include a case. There can be multiple cases. If the value of oper is add, in that case, I want to return the result value to be number 1 plus number 2. So this is the case where the oper's value will be add, and if the value of oper is add, then we will simply return result, which is a summation of these two numbers. Now let's add another case. So when we write case, it is again a MATLAB inbuilt keyword to tell that okay, this is another case of the same switch statement. And let's write another case which can be subtract, and the result in that case would be number 1 minus number 2. Let's introduce another case, multiply, and let's store the result of this in num number 3. It's number 1 and number 2, and case. So we do not need to write here case 1, case 2, case 3. We will simply write the value of oper that we are expecting in order to enter that statement. So let the result value in this case would be number 1 by number 2. So it can be possible that whenever this function is getting called switching, the value of this third argument is something that we have not defined as a case inside our switch statement. So there can be this case as well. So in that case, we can write otherwise. Otherwise means if the value of oper does not match any of these cases, in that case, you have to enter this statement and perform something. So here, whenever the oper value is something else apart from add, subtract, multiply, or divide, I will simply display the statement like the result for this operation is not available, something like that. Okay, let's make it bigger. Okay. So we are simply going to display this statement whenever we pass something in the oper that does not exist as part of the statements. And that's pretty much it. That's all we have to write inside our switch cases to get them working. We simply need to write switch with its end and then the cases and the otherwise in case something that we are operating on does not match the cases. And let's now try to run and see how it is actually working. Okay, so let's start by writing switching, and let's pass two input arguments, 4 and 5. So these are the numbers that we want to perform operations on. And what operation we want to perform, we will pass it as a string, same as how we have defined here. So if it is add, I will simply write, okay, we want to do add, and then the summation of this would be 9. 4 plus 5, 9. And then suppose I want to multiply these two numbers, so I will write here multiply, and then it's going to return the multiplication of 4 and 5. So when we write here multiply, the upper value comes here, switch looks into the value of upper and send it to the same case where upper is matching. Suppose I just enter something in the third argument that does not match any of the cases that we have defined here. So let's write remainder, maybe remainder, and then it is going to display something like whatever we wanted. So we wanted that display whenever the third argument is not matching any case, result for this operation is not available, and this is how we have gotten from this statement. So that means the case did not belong to any of the switch cases, so that's why it entered into the otherwise statement and performed the operation whatever we were asking in the otherwise statement. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it in the switch cases. In the next video, we are going to learn about how we can introduce manual errors or warnings in MATLAB. So suppose if the user is writing remainder, we do not want to display that, okay, the operation is not available for this operation. Instead, we are going to, throw some warning or error based on the arguments that you are providing and perform some operations based on that. So right now we simply have left it with a display statement, but in the next video, we will see how we can introduce warnings and errors. I hope you found this video useful. If it helped you, then make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you and have a good day.